Golem's HP is actually reduced down to 70 HP because Kilmore doesn't come into level 17, but it looks like we're starting off now.
Indeed, we get 120 gold, an herb, and a key. Of course, they will have no spells, with no magic points. That does not matter. And they are going to be taking that gold and deciding what they're going to buy at Breckenridge. They have a choice between choosing clothes and a club, I believe, or they will have to go with a bamboo pole and leather armor, or they might have enough. I'm not sure. We'll see what they do. Already a divergence here, Simbu, pardon me. Beta Strep going to buy herbs, or a scale, and other ones going to the armor. Interesting.
And it looks like going to sell the scale right back. So 10 gold for 2 defense isn't too bad this early on.
Absolutely, and I pitied our poor tracker trying to keep track of this mess. 4 of them playing on speed axe, all buying equipment all at once. So everyone, be sure to throw some love and aplomb to the tracker, to the restreamer, because they are the ones that make this engine run.
Yeah, and I see Smashy not even taking... Or maybe they did buy something already, but already on their grind and starting to build up some levels.
Smashy likely just picked up a club and headed outside and started smashing slimes. That's what that appears to be. And looking quickly for level 3 here. And there it is. And this action is going to come at you hot and heavy early on in this seed. It's going to be tough to track with 4 different screens to look at. But they are underway, and definitely Smashy just going for early levels. Hell be damned. Meanwhile, we see Beta Strep hunting possible scorpions down in the south there. From what I recall back in the day, and Diabetes as well, I believe you can find scorpions and magicians down on those foothills.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be very advantageous to know exactly where you can get which enemy encounters as quick as possible. You really want to get those higher EXP values and quickly level up so that you can get to the better or later locations in the game.
Indeed, and remember, all our competitors have had access to this very map for about 2 weeks. They've had access to the exact ROM that's going to be used, version of the randomization, which is not, of course, randomization. And they are currently checking things out. Smashy now, moving out a little further with the Hurt spell, taking down a goat. And looks like might be trying to make it to Cole and making good progress here. Already across the bridge, heading along the way. Still have to cross one more bridge and some more area, sticking to the plains. And Beta Strep now not far behind, also heading out, Sim.
So what are our runners going to be looking for when they get to Cole? I know that I think the Fairy Flute is on the search spot, which will be helpful for the Golem, but is there any other particular things they're looking for?
The biggest thing that they would want to get at this point, if they can swing it, they want to try to get to Rimmeldar to buy keys. To get to Rimmeldar, you have to go through the Swamp Cave and then make it past some Wolf Lords, wolves, things of that nature, mid-range enemies outside of Rimmeldar to buy those keys at 53 gold apiece. But right now, Smashy is about to enter Cole. Magician trying to cut him off. No dice. Takes it down, and inside goes Smashy.
Well, interestingly, Beta Strep is completely bypassing Cole and already in the swamp trying to make it through. Probably why they spent that money on the early herb, thinking they can get to Rimmeldar early and get those keys.
So a small shield pickup for Smashy inside of Cole, an extra 4 defense. And now with an in refill, might be trying to head through the cave. As Beta Strep has made it out of the Swamp Cave, trying to get to Rimmeldar. They're going to go south, wrap around this mountain range right here, and that little patch of desert there in the bottom left corner, that is the pathway to Rimmeldar. But a wolf trying to pick Beta Strep off. No more herbs left. Can Beta Strep make it? Let's see.
It's looking good, and they did it.
Good for Beta Strep. In for keys. Meanwhile, Smashy into the Swamp Cave as we see Cornucopia getting into coal to pick up a fairy flute and maybe some equipment, as Diabetes II also into coal to pick up that fairy flute and maybe some equipment. I missed how many keys, but we do have keys on Beta Strep. Now, Beta Strep is probably going to Death Warp back. The item inside of the inn on Vanilla is two keys to get a wings. Like, do you really want wings? No. Paul McCartney didn't want wings, and he went along with it. Look how that turned out. That's a music joke for the music lovers in the crowd.
Yeah, it looks like Beta Strep is probably going up towards... is this up towards Garenham?
Most likely, Garenham is in the northwest. The reason to go in there is the Silver Harp is on the bottom floor, but it would really come up to whether you feel you can get to the bottom. There is some Wraith Knights and a few other things kicking around on the lower floors. But nope, Beta Strep instead is heading south here. Let's see where the next step is going.
Is Mountain Cave somewhere over here where they would be able to do a gold grind, potentially?
We'll have to wait and see what the choice is from Beta Strep. Meanwhile, a question of, do we know what weapons Beta and Diabetes have? I'm assuming they're both carrying clubs. It's the cheapest option. No one has saved up enough money for a copper sword yet, which is third in the line of progression. And Shield's the only one that is purchased, as far as I know, is Smashing. But no, we're actually heading into the Mountain Cave. I'm assuming the Fighter's Ring is fixed in this version. The Fighter's Ring did nothing in the original game. You could sell it for 15 gold, but it will add 2 attack power, so that's likely where Beta Strep is headed now, as Smashy is heading into the Swamp Cave. And as we see, Cornucopia has reached Rimmildar. Well done. Going to get some keys. As has Diabetes. So Smashy must have got picked off. I must have missed that, Simbu. So the one who made the biggest early aggressive move is actually behind our 4 racers we're seeing. I'm not sure how many are in this race. Do you know how many competitors we have in this?
I personally do not. I'm not in the SRL room, but maybe I could pull that up real quick.
Yes, because remember, it's not just these 4 competitors, viewers. There are other racers taking part who are not being restreamed. And we'll have to wait for all of the competitors to come in. We should keep an eye on that to where we're at. Poor Smashy gets smashed by a metal scorpion. We have 10 racers in this. Thank you very much, Swizzard. And as we see Cornucopia taking on the treasure here, grabbing some gold. There is I think 3 gold chests or 4 gold chests in there. So it's a nice spot to go, for sure. Get that gold, get some equipment. And as you see now, Beta Strep has indeed set up a gold grind by going into the Mountain Cave and getting those items.
They're grinding out quite a bit of gold here. I think that's more than they would be able to spend at Garenham or anywhere close by. So are they going to try to go all the way to Cantlin this early, or just save up the gold and hopefully not die from here on out?
I mean, you'd have to think that they would be going for Cantlin with that much money. There is broadswords and large shields, and I believe full plates available. Maybe magic armor in Rimmildar. I'm a little foggy on that, but we're looking at that potential. But right now, the way Beta Strep's going, this looks like a full Cantlin way down the hero. With 27,000, we're looking at a sizable amount of money. Let's see what Beta Strep can do with that. Meanwhile, Diabetes II in the Mountain Cave, collecting items, probably setting up a grind as well. And Smashy now through the Swamp Cave, trying to get to Rimmildar for those oh-so-necessary keys.
Yeah, I'm interested in Beta Strep's strategy. I assume they're going to at least buy a few weapons real quick here in Garenham and then get some levels, because you still have to get through the Golem to get into Cantlin, so that's easier said than done.
Absolutely, that Golem is waiting right outside the gates, looking to punch away. Now, they have a fairy flute, But they're a little weak right now, and one of those punches might send them back to the king, minus half their money. And I see Smashy has made it to Rimmeldar, so everybody here now has keys. The grind is going on for Diabetes. A large shield for Cornucopia. Betastrep, meanwhile, now heading east again across the top of the map. Possibly looking for a decent grind spot. I'm not sure where Betastrep's headed, but Rimmeldar is probably the most consistent grind spot available with a close by healing area.
Yeah, I saw Betastrep pick up a large shield there in Garenhelm. I assume they're heading maybe to Cole to get their Fairy Flute because they haven't picked that up yet.
That's a good point.
Otherwise, maybe they're heading to Rimmeldar to buy some better equipment.
Cornucopia now heading south. Probably going to bypass the mountain. No, heading back to the mountain cave here. So have to wait and see. Using that money from the treasury to buy extra equipment, getting a level in the process. As Smashy is back into the castle, going to grab some money to get some better equipment as we see Betastrep inside of Cole. And keep in mind, everyone has access to the Stones of Sunlight now. They just need to go into the basement of Tanagil, and it's available in the Stones of Sunlight Cave. Or Freebie Cave, as it's commonly known among the Dragon Warrior Randomizer community.
After that, they just need to go to the bottom of Garenhelm to get the harp, and then go to a spot located randomly out in the middle of a swamp to get the Erdrick's token, correct?
That's the last story item they would need to find, and they also need, of course, to trade the harp in once they find it. We see 2 Stones of Sunlight pickups from Smashy and Diabetes II, although it showed as an Axe Ghost for Diabetes II. That is a little overflow error. Now Betastrep through the Swamp Cave, and it does appear heading down here to grind on Wolf Lords and things of that nature. Wolves using Hurt right now. You have to be careful, though. The lack of hit points is a little scary for this, but the Hurt gets the job done. Nicely done by Betastrep.
Yeah, this is definitely a little bit of a tense situation here because they have to get to Rimmeldar. They're going to lose half of that gold that they spent all this time grinding up.
Absolutely. And by the way, everyone viewing this particular race, be sure to throw our tracker a follow, just because this is dang near impossible to follow. We have 1 tracker, 4 players with speed hacks and fast text. It's ridiculous. Throw a follow to our tracker right now.
Looks like Smashy and Diabetes are going for Rimmeldar a second time as well. And Cornucopia is... Are they in... They're in one of the... I assume Garen's grave?
I missed where Cornucopia was headed. No, I believe this is still Mountain Cave, looking at the layout. This appears to be a Mountain Cave grind. Interesting choice. It does take a bit to get down to Rimmeldar, but that desert right outside of town is giving skeletons, warlocks, wolves, wolf lords, and I can't remember if there's a 5th one there in that zone, but those are the 4 I'm aware of. And we have broadsword and magic armor for Betastrep, according to Squizzard, so that's good to know. And then remember, that magic armor is going to be very useful to our racers here, just cutting down some hurt spells, and of course giving that passive healing every 4 steps, getting 1 hit point back. We see a wings pickup from Smashy, kind of an interesting move there. Maybe forgot that what was inside of the inn, not particularly useful unless you're not planning on dying to warp back to the king.
I think I saw Diabetes do that, or pick that up as well, so maybe keeping this as an alternative for getting back without losing, having to take a death warp.
Absolutely. For Diabetes, that makes perfect sense. Holding 19,500 in gold. Smashy doesn't matter so much with 665. Doesn't mean so much. We have another gold grind, by the way, from going on now for Cornucopia. Probably going to be looking to get that equipment in place. And right now, Beta Strap is really starting to make some gains up to level 8. Sorry, it's full plate for Smashy. Okay, so both of them coming along here. Definitely getting set up. As you can see, the variance in their pathways, yet they're still about even. A slight lead for Beta Strap right now at 500 some, versus just getting into the 500 range now for Smashy.
Yeah, it's definitely a big question of how much exactly can Beta Strap and Diabetes put this gold that they spent a couple minutes on versus Smashy going directly for the EXP despite the early setbacks.
I mean, Smashy did have some rotten luck trying to get to those keys early. Definitely put Smashy behind, but the experience lead gained has kind of evened out a bit. But keep in mind, the gold grind has happened for other 3 racers, whereas Smashy has yet to get to the to the mountain cave and set up that gold grind.
Cornucopia just finished their gold grind, and I think I saw them go all the way up to 34,000 gold. That's quite a large chunk of money.
Very much, I suspect that Cornucopia, carrying currently a half plate and a hand axe, is potentially planning on them. Maybe if I get a lot of experience but die on the way to Cantlin, might just swallow the half gold boss, grabbing the Stones of Sunlight, by the way, Cornucopia, and choosing to just go for a silver shield and then, you know, get the better armor through finding Erdrick's armor in Hawksness and finding Erdrick's sword in the castle itself. Meanwhile, Smashy may be branching out a little from the desert here, killing a Metal Scorpion, which I think is the 5th enemy in that set, and our competitors at level 9 will have learned Radiant, which will help for exploring Garen's grave as well as, of course, the castle if they so choose.
But right now, all our runners just milking the EXP off of this desert and trying to get to a comfortable point where they can tackle the second half of the game.
I suspect they're probably going to 11 or maybe 12 just to kind of get to that point. As we see, Smashy's moved a little further south into the foothills, trying to take on a Wraith right now. Almost gets taken out, but survives, but still not an ideal situation there. Getting a wolf.
And Diabetes have moved down to join the grind down there, while Smashy is trying to get back to town and getting attacked but surviving, so good for him.
Yeah, you have to say that, you know, it's a little further away. It's a bit of a risk. You're getting slightly better experience gains on average, but you have that long walk back to the castle. Question actually from our tracker saying, has Beta not gotten the stones? I don't believe so, but the stones are rather irrelevant until it's time to get that rainbow drop, which is actually just to the south of where our players are grinding. They pass through a narrowed area, and there's mountains surrounding a cave or a staircase, I can't recall. But either way, it is a cave that has the rainbow drop, and that's the last place they have to visit before they go to Sharlock. So there's no rush to go get those stones. You have to get the harp and then make the trade to the west of Cole. And then you got to go make that trade. So there's no rush to get those right now, but got to make sure to get it at some point. So that is a good point.
And Beta Strap continuing their lead. They're almost to 1500 EXP and just now hitting level 11, but looks like they're continuing their grind for now, so maybe going for 12. We'll have to see exactly when they decide it's time to move on to the next area.
They might be also just looking to get a bunch of support spells, in addition, just a little more hit points, a little more stats, so they can just stand up to the vicious stuff that's between them and Cantlin. Keep in mind, Getting to Cantlin involves getting through wyverns, knights, demon knights. I think there's even star wyverns not too far away from there. If they're not, there's definitely magi wyverns. There are some dangerous opponents between them and Cantlin, so they've got to have the stats to stand up to those enemies. So you can see, though, they're not taking a lot of damage at this point from some of the weaker enemies in these groups.
Yeah, this magic armor and large shield is definitely keeping them fairly healthy. So it's just a matter of waiting for your EXP values to go up. Cornucopia joining in on the grind, while Smashy and Diabetes are trying to keep up with Beta Strep at the moment.
I'm not 100%, but I would suspect Diabetes II has picked up a shield somewhere along the way. But, you know what? Given that there's 4 things to watch, our tracker's doing an excellent job here. And maybe not, though. The large shield, there were some trips to Garanham. It may not be available in Rimmelgar, so maybe not. Diabetes might just be living without it and picking it up along the way down the road.
Yeah, I know that Beta Strep went out of their way to go to Garen Ham to get a large shield, and I would assume they probably chose that since they couldn't purchase it here at Rimmeldar, but I could be mistaken about that.
That seems very likely to myself as well, and as we see now, Diabetes II actually heading up to Garanham, probably going to pick up a large shield here momentarily, carrying a decent chunk of change in the back pocket. As we see as well, Smashy heading there, likely to get a large shield as well. Get some herbs pick up for both of them, while Beta Strep and Cornucopia continue the grind. And we'll just wait and see what happens here with the purchases that could happen at the shop. Diabetes II into the shop, picking up a large... Smashy doing the same. So indeed, Diabetes was going without a shield till that point in the run.
To answer a question in chat, the EXP required is cut in half, but it's not specifically a straight 2x or 1.5 times speed up. It's just the text advances much quicker, and I think the movement is slightly faster as well.
The movement is the same, it's just speed hacks and fast text, so that means that the battles move very quickly, but everything else is normal speed. The experience is half of what they would need in the vanilla game. As we see Diabetes II leading the way into the Garen's Grave, followed closely by Smashy, opening those doors just seconds apart, Simbu.
Yeah, it looks like they have... Literally the only difference between the two right now is Smashy took a bit of a hard start and decided to forego the gold grind to try to catch up because of it.
We have a sleep and hurt combo here from the Spectre, but not enough to take down Diabetes II. Moving on now to the final, or the second last floor. Keep in mind, the side chest on this particular cave, I believe, is either a cursed belt. I believe it's a cursed belt. I think the death necklace is a pickup that can happen in the mountain cave, and I don't think it's a guarantee. So there's no reason to have it other than just to sell it. They just curse you. They're no use, and I don't know if the death necklace has an effect in this particular setup. I don't know if they've kept that in, but the death necklace, I believe, is an inconsistent pickup in vanilla. Someone in chat, no doubt, will correct me.
They specifically noted in the rules that the death necklace no longer has its randomizer effect, so it only curses you in this run. It does not give you the plus 10 strength.
It's a sensible precaution if it is indeed how I think it works. Meanwhile, Beta Strep, if you look right now on the bottom left corner of your screen, will be within sight of the Rainbow Drop Cave, and right now I'm trying to grind up some more enemies, getting spells blocked. That's not what you want to see from the Wolf Lord. Taking it down in 2 big smashes.
But really interesting divergence here. Beta Strep continuing to grind over here near Rimmeldar, while Diabetes and Smashy seem to be grinding in the in Garen's Grave.
Question from chat about are the stats on level up randomized or are they vanilla? Well, there is a certain randomization in the game itself. It's very minor, but I believe they are following the vanilla stat gains. So to that end, keep in mind spell progression is the same. So we're looking at least a level 16 or 17, I believe, to get to heal more. So the game is unwinnable till that point regardless. And about the time you get it, you should be about ready to take on the Dragon Lord. We'll have to wait and see as we go here. With levels 13, 12, 11, and Diabetes at 12, we're not that far away, but we are in for a decently long grind once they get to that point. Because the levels really start growing out the further you go into the game. Diabetes actually grinding on the bottom floor here and just probably trying to run the hit points out in the meantime. Taking those 58 experience point monsters in the Druid Lord and the Droll Magi and just smashing away at them.
I'm not sure that he wants to completely take a Death Warp here since he has the 21,000 gold, so might be... I don't think he'll want to go all the way down to empty. I think he'll just grind until he gets a certain amount of EXP and then leave.
Might be looking if the outside spell has not been learned yet. Forgive me, I do forget what level you get it at in the vanilla game, but might just be trying to get the outside spell and getting a grind in at the same time. And on Smashy's side, you did see that Wraith Knight that's a rare encounter, but can get you inside of this grave. And there's one now for Diabetes. And yes, with outside, they can grind here as long as they want and leave at any point, provided they keep those 6 magic points available. Meanwhile, the grind continues for Betastrap and Cornucopia. Betastrap is going with the hyper-conservative grind and just trying to get all of the experience right now to save up and get that dive into the grave, presumably next on the list. Same with Cornucopia, who's a little behind right now to level 11. But coming up in the world here, probably level 12 at any moment.
Yeah, I'm really curious when Betastrap is going to continue. Just now hitting 14, and it looks like they have returned and are planning to go somewhere new at the very least.
Diabetes also done with the grind in the bottom of the grave. Heading in to heal up and presumably heading south after this to try to the Catlin and maybe Hawksness along the way to pick up Erdrick's armor. And Betastrap now heading to the Stones of Sunlight, not forgetting about that important story item. You would not want to go do the trade without this item. So if you are watching Diabetes the Second, we'll be heading south through this forest. Heading across a bridge, and then when a desert comes into view near some mountains, cutting east will take to Hawksness. We'll see if Diabetes is headed there now, or deciding to head a different direction and continue on to Catlin, which would be south and then east afterwards. And look at this. This is an interesting thing. Picking up fairy water, Betastrap, getting fairy water out of the open shop here. I guess that is a retained thing from the current randomizer. In the vanilla game, that shop is locked. And the use of the fairy water will keep those weaker enemies away, allowing Betastrap to walk unmolested further until they may start showing up again further south. But no, heading north, so probably going to dive Garen's grave for the Silver Shield.
Yeah, I see Diabetes is actually looking to take a little bit of a grind here. Maybe looking for 14. I believe you said that this was right next to Hawksness, so maybe thinking they can take the Axe Knight on at level 14?
Indeed, this is Hawksness on the screen for Diabetes the Second right now. Just looking to set up. Now, keep in mind, Hawksness has an Axe Knight guarding Erdrick's armor, but also inside the town, I believe there are wizards, green dragons. There, maybe Star Wyverns, if not them, Magi Wyverns for sure. There are some dangerous foes inside that town. So it could be a risky play to go in there, but getting that armor means so much.
Yeah, Urgic's armor is by far the best armor in the game. Very high stats, very good spell resistances, and recovers HP quite often, not to mention making you immune to swamp tiles, which will be very helpful when going towards Cantlin.
Absolutely. There's not a lot of swamp in the way, but south of Cantlin, there's a bunch of swamp that our competitors will have to go into. We don't got to worry about that right at this moment in time. As we see Smashy now heading up and not having that fairy water like Beta Strep, has to run away from some slimes. Not as big of a deal with these speed hacks and fast text on, but it is still a time delay. And almost some synchronized move until Smashy cuts south. Cornucopia heading up to Garanhan. And a Silver Heart pickup for Beta Strep.
So I believe that gives the Silver Heart to everyone except Cornucopia, who will be picking it up fairly shortly. And then we just need the Urgic's token pickup and to trade the Silver Heart for the staff, and then finally everything traded for the Rainbow Drop so that we can get into Charlock.
But do these runners want to get into Charlock? No, I suspect we'll be seeing quite the grind before they head for that castle.
Yeah, with Hillmore not starting until level 17, I expect there's going to be quite a while before our runners start heading to Charlock. I'm kind of curious if they're planning on doing one single dive. Most likely they'll do a single dive, or maybe they'll dive early and try to get the Urgic Sword, since there's quite a bit of extra walking to go all the way to the sword in its vanilla location.
The issue with that is if you decided to go for the sword and then exit, you have to walk back to Rimmildar, which is to the southeast of the castle, and it's a bit of a windy path to get there with some dangerous foes between you and that town to refill. So I suspect they're going to do a one dive approach here. Get the sword on the way down and try to win the game. But that is the beauty of this particular type of thing, as Smashy now is closing in on Cantlin, by the way. One more bridge to cross and one more golem to beat up. Just through this swamp and to the south, we will see Cantlin coming into view with its walls. That might look like the Big C, as you might be familiar, but that's how it is for Cantlin in the vanilla game. Playing the Fairy's Flute. Very quick on Speed Axe. It's about a second. Very, very nice item to have on Speed Axe and Fast Text. And as you see, the Golem has not skipped Arm Day. It is still punching pretty hard.
Yeah, Smashing having to run away because just bad luck at the start of that fight, but regrouping and going in for a second attempt. Hopefully the Golem will stay asleep this time. It only has 70 HP, but it hits like a truck.
Basically, he needs that Golem to stay asleep for the heal turn, and indeed it's fine and good, and Smashy is the first into Cantlin. The shopping mall is open. Let's see if that Silver Shield is waiting. Of course it is. We're going to see a Silver Shield for Smashy and a Flame Sword. Fantastic pickup here from Smashy. Really improving the lot in life as Cornucopia picks up the Silver Heart.
Yeah, I noticed Smashy had a lot of gold, so I guess he put off his gold grind until after, until his Garanhelm trip, and then using this opportunity to get all of these fantastic weapons, and will shortly probably be heading to Hawk's Nest to get his Urgic's armor, and then it's just a grind left for him.
Yes, indeed. The next step would be the token, and since it's in the same, the armor and the token, and then the trade game and grind. Seems simple enough. What could possibly go wrong?
Meanwhile, I see Diabetes in Hawk's Nest heading slowly through a lot of random encounters towards that spike tile and just about to fight that Axe Knight.
And the Axe Knight has been taken on, having sleep, but blocked by the stop spell. Excellent use there. Now hoping for those sleeps to be cast. Looking good. The Axe Knight taken down, and our first Erdrick's armor belongs to Diabetes II. Well played.
Meanwhile, Smashy picking up their Erdrick's token and is now just lacking the Staff of Rain until they can go trade for the Rainbow Drop.
Smashy taking a perfect bid there from a Demon Knight. 22 hit points, 22 damage, sent back to the castle. Maybe not the worst thing in the world. Let's see what Smashy decides to do. Meanwhile, Beta Strep now taking on the Axe Knight in Hawk's Nest. Oh, gets it on the possible last swing. Well done. Gets the armor. And our second player now enjoying Erdrick's armor. And Erdrick's armor, for those that are not aware, Simbu, has 28 defensive points. Protects you from damaging tiles like swamp or barrier tiles. It will decrease the damage from hurt mores. It will decrease the damage from fiery breath attacks. And it heals you passively for one step you take on the overworld or in a dungeon. Also, it blocks stop spell because it doesn't do enough things.
If only it could block sleep.
Sleep truly is the great equalizer.
But we see Diabetes going back to the castle through a death warp, and I don't think I saw him get to Cantlin. Did he get to Cantlin already?
Diabetes II chose to go right for the token, and I believe got picked off before getting it based on the movement I'm seeing here. Meanwhile, Smashy is grinding, and of course, Cornucopia grinding as well in this little forest area. Very interesting. I guess trying to take advantage of that Wraith zone we saw our other competitors using in the foothills just to the north of the Rainbow Drop Cave. Ooh, a Green Dragon takedown from Smashy, who's presumably heading over to tell that Axe Knight how much he does not like it.
Yeah, the Silver Shield and the Flame Sword really helping out Smashy, being able to go in here an entire level before Diabetes and Beta Strip were. Just needs to take down this Axe Knight and then will be in a very good position. Takes it down without too much trouble at all, and now just has to collect their token, and they will be done on this side of the map. But takes a death to the Green Dragon, so gonna... Oh, did they? They already got their token, so I guess they're headed towards the Staff Cave.
We'll have to wait and see what grind they choose. Likely the Green Dragon, because it doesn't have sleep. Beta Strap picking up the Flame Sword and the Silver Shield inside of Cantlin. And having an experience lead, looking very good right now in our quartet of racers we are rebroadcasting. In the lead, I would have to say at this point. Not necessarily with the experience lead, but with the equipment, whereas that overall, Beta Strap looking the best of our four competitors thus far.
Yeah, Smashy, Diabetes, and Beta Strap are all taking slightly different routes, but for the most part have been neck and neck. Cornucopia not that far behind. Unfortunately, just having a little bit more difficulty getting the EXP and spent a little bit more time on their gold grind, but I'm sure they'll be catching up fairly soon.
Beta Strap picking up Erdrick's token now in the swamp, having the 2.5 story items out of 3. Everyone sitting at 2.5 except Diabetes, who's probably headed towards that swamp right now. Smashy definitely heading over to make the trade to get the Staff of Rain. I suspect we'll see the same not far in the future from our other competitors as well. And definitely using the Fairy Water Repel. I did not see which, but Smashy not getting encounters. Gets the Staff of Rain here momentarily. Now ready to go get the Rainbow Drop. Great night kill by Betastrep there, heading back from the token location.
I imagine Smashy is probably going to take a stop in Swamp Cave and maybe do their entire grind there first before heading down, getting their Rainbow Drop, and then taking one last rest before heading to Charlock.
I cannot argue with that. We are looking at a situation where the Rainbow Drop is needed to win the game, but more needed right now are some stats. So absolutely, the better call, you ignore the Rainbow Drop, you just get that experience. It's right here, just waiting on that exact tile with a breathing, dragon breathing fire, but doing minimal damage thanks to that. And with that Flame Sword in hand, smashing it in 2 turns. Fantastic right there.
Meanwhile, Diabetes is now fighting the Golem. Has a pretty nice EXP lead over some of our other runners, but Betastrep very quickly catching up with grind on Magiwyverns and some similar enemies.
Based overall on what we're seeing from the general location of everyone, Betastrep is in the lead right now. For those green dragons, let's see if they are going to pay fruits for Smashy, who's been lagging behind in experience, but generally leading in aggressive plays to get the equipment and the items needed to win the game. But I mean, these rogue scorpions and the like are doing real nice for Betastrep here in this desert. It is a pretty quick encounter rate, but you got to deal with those demon knights. There are, I believe, metal slimes in these zones down here for Betastrep, so some lucky metal slime encounters would be nice. Now, something to remember. Metal slimes in the vanilla game have 4 hit points, not 3. So it's a little tougher to kill them without an excellent move.
Meanwhile, it looks like Smashy is outside of the swamp now. Maybe they went to...
There was a death taken. That swamp right there, pass through, is a swamp to the south of the first bridge heading to Cole. It's a quicker way down to the swamp cave.
Okay, so as it's looking now, they might not actually be gaining time with this green dragon grind if they're having trouble staying alive.
Green Dragon is risky, there is no doubt, and this desert seems to be doing Betastrep just fine. As we see, Diabetes up to 7,500-ish, but Betastrep has passed Diabetes on the experience point lead, so we'll see if that continues, and if so, Betastrep looking good in this quartet right now to take the victory of the 4 you're seeing. But remember, there are 10 racers taking part in this, so we will keep a close eye on the SRL race room to see who's going to have a real shot at taking this. Ooh, a Star Wyvern for Cornucopia gets away.
Gets away from another one and looks to finally be heading into Cantlin. So just has to take down the Golem like our other runners, and we'll be able to buy all of the magical goodies in Cantlin.
Betastrep appeared to use Return, filled up at Breckenry, and now heading probably to the Swamp Cave as well. Diabetes must have taken a death, now walking back as well, as we see the Fairy Flute being used on Cornucopia's side, trying to stay healthy enough, but the Golem wakes up again. Oh no, that's some bad luck. A little indecisiveness from Cornucopia of what to do, and the Golem wakes up again, tries to kill it, gets it on the last swing, heads into Cantlin. Oh, that was close, Simbu.
Yeah, that was definitely a sweaty paw moment. Not much you can do when the Golem just will not stay asleep, but managed to get through, so picking up their Silver Shield, it looks like that's all they're going to have money for, and now it's just time to decide where to grind.
Absolutely, and for those who are fans of the Wheel of Time series of books, as Matt would say, Cornucopia rolled the dice, rechecking to see if the golem's there, but not in the house. And looking at the experience gap, Smashy has gained a little bit on Beta Strap, but with Beta Strap coming in here, ready to with an extra level in hand, this green dragon is going to be mincemeat pretty quickly and more consistently for Beta Strap, as Smashy now heading back up to Cole for a heal. So for those just joining us, we should explain what's going on. This is the Dragon Warrior Super Speedrun race, which is the vanilla map, vanilla spells, vanilla experience, but it's it's half of what's required. All the shops are the same. Everything is the exact same, except that there is magic points for casting spells is less. And we are looking at more generally the hit points and experience and the like being adjusted back to vanilla. Just playing the speed axe and fast text, it should be under 90 minutes. So we're roughly a little over halfway, Simbu, to the finish of this particular race.
Yeah, I noticed that we're really getting up there in levels. There's not much to hold back the runners now. They're just waiting for the stats needed to defeat the Dragon Lord, and then this seed will be nice and over as long as they don't get too trolled by Sharlock.
Absolutely, and Diabetes still holding a slight, and I mean slight, experience lead, but Diabetes II is lacking Erdrick's token according to the tracking, so that's a long side trip that has to be made unless the token has been picked up. Keep in mind that this is moving very fast, and there are 4 people to track. Meanwhile, Cornucopia heads into Hawksness. Werewolf shows up, but just runs away. Again, just runs away. Look at Cornucopia, sprinting all over the place, Simbu.
Yeah, I imagine at this level they won't have too much trouble with this Axe Knight, and will be picking up their Erdrick's armor very quickly.
Well, our tracker did not notice if Diabetes picked up the token, but based on this behavior from Diabetes, I assume that the token is in hangs. It appears a rainbow drop is going to be crafted. No, actually heading to Rimbledar. Let's see what Beta Strap does. Heading south, so Beta Strap definitely going to make that rainbow token in that staircase just to the south here inside of the mountain and foothills that reside below. We'll have to wait and see what Diabetes does, moving on from this point.
Yeah, I imagine Beta Strap is either considering 18 the go level, or wanted to pick this up before healing up. Did Diabetes... Are they heading up to Sharlock? I didn't see them get the rainbow drop.
I don't believe so, and yeah, Diabetes just realizing there's no bridge, so a bit of a miscalculation, possibly. Hard to say what happened there, but we see Beta Strap now wrapping around Rimbledar for a refill. We might see Sharlock momentarily.
We see Diabetes using return, so perhaps realize that they forgot to do a few the necessary quest ticks, so going to take a little bit of a time loss here getting that sorted out.
Absolutely. As Beta Strap now is heading toward Sharlock Castle, just got to get through this desert and can put the rainbow drop in place. You place the rainbow drop right across this little gap right here, and you will see the rainbow drop flashing on the screen, setting up the bridge, which will gain access to the area of Sharlock. Quite dangerous in the monsters that are in this chunk of the world. As we see Diabetes II now going to trade in for the Staff of Rain, as Beta Strap loses Repel. It's going to use a Fairy Water to get into Sharlock, and our first Sharlock entry is at 4907. Beta Strap now diving to look at least for the sword and maybe for the win.
Yeah, I noticed they have 100 MP and 115 HP. I'm not exactly sure what their attack stat is at level 18, but just looking at it from a high-level view, this looks to be fairly consistent. I'm fairly sure if they get pretty good run luck down here, they're probably going to at least attempt the Dragon Lord.
Seems likely that that would be the possibility, but we'll have to wait and see what the encounters are, how the run luck is, all of that fun stuff that Sharlock always entails. It appears now that Smashy is heading south, and as is Diabetes, so we will find out whether the token is in Diabetes' possession here momentarily. If the so-called jerk kicks Diabetes out of the cave. He's not a jerk, he's just very demanding and wants a hero that can actually save Alfgard. I don't see the problem.
I noticed Smashy hitting 18 on their walk down here, so it seems like everyone has agreed 18 is the level to go, so we'll just have to see if Beta Strep can hold on to this lead, or if it'll come down to who can get the luckiest in Sharlock.
And indeed, Diabetes did have the token, getting the rainbow drop, as has Smashy, so we have 3 of our 4 racers on screen right now going for it. Beta Strap into the barracks, into the U floor, ready to get down and dirty against the Dragon Lord. That sounded wrong, I apologize. As we see now a Phil coming from Diabetes and from Smashy, they are basically neck and neck as they get ready for their Sharlock dive. Final floor for Beta Strap. Run blocked by a wizard, but appears to be defense breaking the wizard, so in pretty good shape on the defense, you'd have to say.
I also noticed that Beta Strep did, at least I didn't notice them go for the Erdrick sword, so perhaps the attack power is good enough even with a flame sword that they can win. So this will be an interesting fight.
Absolutely, and there is no Spike Guardian on Vanilla. That is something, the Catelyn Guardian has been moved on the randomizer to that spot. We did get a stat check, I'm not sure. Did Beta Strep forget the sword? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I noticed they only have 115 attack power, which I'm pretty sure is quite a bit too low, so looks like they're backtracking to try to get that sword and recover this dive, so this is incredibly close now between Smashy, Diabetes, and Beta Strep.
Keep in mind, Red Dragons have sleep in Vanilla. That is just vicious. 2 heal more spent by Beta Strep now trying to get away from this Red Dragon. If Beta Strep forgot to get the sword, this is a colossal mistake that is absolutely taken a almost perfectly run race. We'll have to wait and see if Beta Strep is going to be post-gaming with us. I'd be very curious to hear about this.
Meanwhile, Diabetes is just now entering Sharlock, just maybe a minute behind Smashy, and ultimately it's going to come down to it's looking like a race between Beta Strep and Smashy at this point.
Absolutely, as Beta Strep now making towards the sword of Erdrick's sword, going to the Vanilla location, not too far away. I'd be curious if Beta Strep's going to have to exit after using 2 heal mores. I think the magic is pretty tight at this point. I believe Beta Strep's going to have to get out of here and get a refill. And here is the sword for Beta Strep, and yes, indeed, it's an outside. That was a huge mistake by Beta Strep. Just forgot about the sword. I mean, pretty easy to be so focused on the Dragon Lord Simbu, and then letting that go by.
Yeah, just unfortunate that the Red Dragons decided to keep Beta Strep locked down, so had to burn the Healmore. And
2 heal mores. 2 heal mores. It was absolutely not happening with only 9 of them in reserve.
But Sharlock's going to Sharlock, so we'll have to see if Smashy... it looks like Diabetes taking a wipe, so it's not as simple as it sounds. Even if it's not randomized, it's still going to get you. RNG is a cruel mistress.
And in a time of 53-57, we have our winner of this 10-player race. Zarnax 42 has taken the crown. And Zarnax saying, wait till everyone finishes. So we'll have to wait a while to hear from our winner. GG's to Zarnax 42. As we see Smashy now on the final floor. With the sword in hand. I believe Smashy went side. I don't see it on the tracker, but I'm pretty sure Smashy went there, Simbu.
Yeah, I saw Smashy head up towards the Erdrick's sword, so I'm almost certain he got it.
Absolutely. Is Beta Strap now heading back to Sharlock, probably kicking himself. Oh, that's a rough break. I think Beta Strap wins the whole shebang if Beta Strap makes that side trip on the way down. I'd be interested to hear from Beta Strap after this race.
Yeah, it definitely would have been very, very close between Beta Strap and Zarnax, but unfortunately had that slip of mind, so...
I didn't see it, but Smashy is wiped. Smashy is back at Tanagel. Oh my goodness, Simbu. Beta Strap now in our quartet of restreams, back in front. And of course, during the most momentous switch yet in the momentum, Sparkover had some issues with drop frames. But that's okay, we love Sparkover, she's great. Follow Sparkover. As we see Cornucopia now going to get the rainbow drop, as Beta Strap, I think, is dark walking with no torch in hand and deciding to not spend the radiant.
Yeah, after... I mean, they have 4 MP to spend, so it's probably worth spending on a Radiant, but if you know the path well enough, then not really necessary, just walk and save an extra heal.
Absolutely, and Sparkover, no one saw that, don't worry about it.
It looks like they decided to spin the Radiant on the next floor though, so probably just walking the first floor since it's fairly easy to memorize, and then using Radiant on the second floor.
Absolutely, and so we see Beta Strap now winding through beginning the second half, essentially, of the dive here on this bit of a wrap-around cave, leading into the next floor, which is the barracks, or the U floor. There's a short little jaunt, and then we're on the final floor. As I've heard described from some runners, it's as if you came out onto a plateau upon the sea in the outside, and that's why it's so well lit. I've always liked that theory. What do you think of that, Simbu? It's outside, you know? It's on the ocean. The Dragon Lord just likes to look out on things, enjoying domination and dominion over the land of Alaphan.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting theory. Also, just looking, it kind of looks like you could say these are towers on the corners, so maybe the top of a castle. So...
But the issue is you've been going down the whole time, so how'd you end up on the top floor? I don't think they had express elevators back in these days.
Are we sure we're going down? Because you could have been climbing the castle this whole time.
Look at the staircases, they lead down, not up. But regardless of that, Smashy is just steps away from engaging the Dragon Lord. Is he a fool? He's a fool, Simba!
Yeah, Beta Strap starting their Dragon Lord fight, and we'll have to see. They are using herbs to try to start the second phase with the best stats possible and not getting back attacks, so probably fairly decent chance of them winning this fight.
We have a comment from chat that apparently Mr. Holmes is playing on a different ROM. His Green Dragon did not respawn. That would absolutely devastate any plans he had. And also something to keep in mind, Simbu, I believe the Dragon Lord in Vanilla only has about 130 hit points, something in that range. It's not as high as the randomizer, I know that.
Interesting. I don't know too much about Vanilla, so it the Dragon Lord's HP is much lower. That would explain why our runners are only being able to hit for around 6 to 13 damage and feeling fairly confident with this fight.
Hoping for some doubles here. Beta's not getting a ton of luck, but we'll wait and see how this plays out. But running out of heal mores rapidly is Beta Strap.
And just taking a wild swing right there at the end, had LMP to spare, so definitely was counting. They knew exactly what was going on, and Beta Strep is going to be the first of our featured runners to finish.
By the way, second place goes to Mr. Holmes. He says playing with the right ROM might have helped. I don't know if that means this is really a second place for Mr. Holmes. Not using the right ROM seems like a disqualification. I don't know. Not my call. But regardless, GG's to Beta Strap. Oh my goodness, Beta Strap snipes Lorgon for third place by 3 seconds, Simbu. 3 seconds separating Beta Strap and Lorgon for the bronze medal.
Yeah, GG's to Beta Strap, Lorgon, and Mr. Holmes, all very good runners, and it looks like we have Smashy doing their Dragon Lord fight, and Diabetes very, very close behind. We'll see if we get any of our runners in for an interview.
Lorgon apparently will be joining us momentarily. Zarnax wants to join once the race was over. So we definitely are going to have some post-game. So if you in the chat have any questions or any things you want to learn about the strategies used here, feel free to post them once we get them in the call here in the commentary booth, and you can ask them directly through us, which is indirectly. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, we see a finish from Smashy. GG's to Smashy, Simbu.
And it looks like Diabetes is trying to do a little bit of a heel walk right here in front of the Dragon Lord, but having some difficulty finding an Armor Knight and losing all of that HP they worked so hard to get. Unfortunately, that's...
When will people learn? Much like democracy, heel walking simply doesn't work.
At the same time, we have Cornucopia on their grind at level 17, so not too long until they reach level 18 and probably start their grind for the Erdrick Sword.
So for those just joining us, Zarnax42 wins this race in 53.57. Second place goes to Mr. Holmes with a 59.36. Then we have Beta Strep with 1 hour 12 seconds. Fourth place to Lorgon 111 with 1 hour 15 seconds. Smashy with a 1 hour 1 minute 18 seconds for the fifth place, and we are currently waiting to see how 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 shake out.
It does look like we are joined by Smashy in the chat. GG Smashy.
Hello.
I also see we have Lorgon, Zarnax, and Mr. Holmes also in the commentary booth. It's getting crowded in here.
Hello.
GG's to everyone who's here, and wow, what a crazy thing to watch. Oh, they're in the other booth. Oh, I'm sorry, they're not in our booth. Who do we have then?
We have Smashies. Hi Smashy, we heard you.
That's good.
Okay, I was just wondering what was going on because nobody was responding. I'm like, hello. Is something going on here?
My apologies to you, Smashy. I looked at the wrong booth. That's the crowded booth. This is the lonely one where they sent you to pity us, I suppose. GG's, well done. An interesting race to see the different approaches used by all of our racers, and it came together so close at the end with a lot of competitors. Getting that fifth place, though, pretty nice. And a PB to boot.
Well, I only did one practice run. I think the main change I did from my practice run to this run was, in my practice run, I went and got the fighter's ring. And this one, I just ghetto grinded. And, well, to be fair, it didn't really... the times are going to be more like, did you take bad deaths?
Bad deaths, or in the case of Beta Strep, who possibly could have won this race, and I think still finished second, but Beta Strep got down there, got right before the Dragon Lord and went, wait a minute, why is my attack power only about 115? And realized I never got the sword.
Oh yeah, that's something you need to remember doing these things.
And then, of course, the Red Dragon trolling Simbu put an end to Beta Strap's dreams and hopes. Had to go use heal mores, get the sword, exit, and get that heal. I think Beta Strap might have won this thing without that unfortunate oversight.
Yeah, it's problems started a lot earlier for me. Me with the Mel Scorpions keeping me from getting keys.
That was interesting, Smash. You were the most aggressive of our 4 featured racers. You went for Cole first. You got the small shield. There were people who went into the Swamp Cave before you and got to Rimmildar, and you, with your extra defense, maybe you were weighed down too much by that shield, but you got picked off twice, I believe, before you got to Rimmildar?
Yeah, the first time was a mistake on my part. I should have just double hurt the Metal Scorpion, and that would have got me. That probably would have got me in there. But after that, that was just the Metal Scorpion didn't want to let me go, and then the Golem kind of went bad. I had to run and heal up outside battle because it was not being sleepy, but that went smoothly. The problem was, after that, what I was heading for after the token is a sneaky little spot just east of the token where you actually get the monster zone around the jerk. And that's where I was going to finish up level 14, but I got high rolled by that Demon Knight to death and had to just walk it back. So that was kind of another bad death.
I have to say, Smashy, you weren't the only one that tried to A, use that zone, and B, got trolled trying to get to that zone. Demon Knight was definitely a gatekeeper for getting over there. I did see a couple of our racers trying to do that, including yourself, and it just didn't work out. As we see now, Diabetes II taking on the Dragon Lord at level 19. Probably going to be a heavy favorite here. Just going to be smashing away to finish it, as we see Cornucopia filling up at Rimmildar, getting ready, presumably, to dive Sherlock.
But yeah, and then I just got a little bit too aggressive with the Green Dragon after the armor. I was actually planning on grinding just south of Hawksness in that zone, because right after you get the armor, you defense break. I think at first you defense break everything but the Wraith Knight, and then soon after you do defense break the Wraith Knight, and it's just like you don't have to go heal anymore, and I would have waited until 17 to start the Green Dragons. But once I took that death, I just decided that I was going to go for it. Just go for the Green Dragons. And didn't turn out too bad, I don't think.
If I recall, Simbu, Beta Strap did grind in that area south of Hawksness briefly before switching to Green Dragons for the final grind. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is what happened for Beta Strap.
Yeah, I think they actually grinded up all the way to about 8,000 EXP, and then they went and traded in for their Staff of Rain and finally headed down to the Green Dragons. So yeah,
level 17 and then Green Dragons, that's what my original plan was, but well, I got a little bit too greedy. After I had the earlier problems, I just got too greedy. And then, of course, Red Dragons are jerks.
Just do a quick update as well. Finishing in 6th place is Game Boy F9 in 1 hour, 4 minutes, 14 seconds. Saying Mr. Holmes wins the real race, ... of the wrong ROM. 7th place goes to Archfield Monk in 1 hour, 5 minutes, 34 seconds. Finishing in 8th place, Diabetes II on our featured restreaming with a time of 1 hour, 7 minutes, 31 seconds. Not too bad. 4 unintended deaths from 6 times plus run fails. My goodness. I don't believe Diabetes will be joining either of the commentary booths. So in the meantime, Smashy, how did you find Sherlock treated you on that dive?
Fine, right until that Red Dragon, really.
That sounds like Sherlock to me, doesn't it to you, Simbu?
Yeah, I mean, Red Dragons are known as part of the fun fleas for a reason. But yeah, it was honestly, I think everyone except everyone on our stream took at least one unintentional leaving of Sharlock. Beta Strep, I don't think, died, but had to exit out when they forgot the sword. But both you and Diabetes took a wipe either right before the Dragon Lord or during their Dragon Lord and had to go back, which was kind of unfortunate. But that's Sharlock. So...
Indeed, Diabetes took the wipe trying to heel walk right in front of the Dragon Lord. I didn't see it happen, but that's what was happening. And all of a sudden I looked and, oh, he's back at the castle. That ain't good.
But yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun watching the different strats. I noticed that you took some very interesting approaches, Smashy. We saw Beta Strap actually go straight to Rimuldar instead of going to Cole first. But then immediately did a gold grind after getting the key, while you actually put off the gold grind until after going and leveling up all the way to 12 or 13 and getting your silver harp. So it was interesting to see how those two played out. And overall, I think if you didn't have your troubles with the early game and that wipe in the castle, you would have been fairly close to everyone.
Honestly, yeah, it was neat to see they did their goal grind, as Simbu said earlier. You did yours later, and everything just came together, and it was really tight. It's just the experience lead was massive for Beta Strep and Diabetes over you at that point. But you never quite know when it comes to a vanilla run, do you, Smashy?
Nope. You think those red dragons and randomizers are bad when they just punch you a whole bunch? Vanilla has sleep, and that's just rude.
That is some brutal stuff.
I
right
think
there.
on my life split, I think I was about 2 minutes behind for most of the way, and I kind of cut into that at the end. And I was thinking, and okay, I knew on my practice run I took a death in Sharlock, so I could still sub-hour this, and it didn't quite turn out that way, but well, maybe I'll give it a go again. Maybe I'll try to get that sub-hour.
There you go. Cornucopia getting away from Armored Knights and Red Dragons, about to take on the Dragon Lord. We are still waiting to see who's going to finish 9th and who will finish 10th of our racers, as Cornucopia is a fool taking on the Dragon Lord. A quick first turn, 110 hit points in the bag, no sneak attack. This is fantastic news for Cornucopia. Getting set up here, but still going to have to use a heal more after 2 swings. But that 130 magic points should be an easy shaper at level 19. And for those just joining us, once again, a quick recap. Zarnax42 takes the win in this super speed run of the vanilla map. Settings, first place for Zarnax. Mr. Holmes in second place, using the wrong ROM. We'll have to wait and see what the judges say on that. Beta Strep taking third by 3 whole seconds over Lorgon 111 in fourth place. Smashy, who was in the commentary booth with us, taking a respectable 5th. And then we have Game Boy in 6th. Archfield Monk in 7th, Diabetes the 2nd and 8th, and we are waiting to see who's going to get 9th and 10th out of our racers.
Yeah, Cornucopia right here at the end of the fight, and down goes the Dragon Lord. So race to the finish now. Victory lap to see, but very well done to all of our featured runners. Smashy, did you have any last comments?
I would just say real quickly, Cornucopia taking 9th place in 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 46 seconds. GG, Cornucopia. Go, Smashy, go!
I don't feel like going.
Just stroll casually.
Sure.
It appears Cornucopia might be joining us in the chat here, in the commentary booth momentarily. So now we have no runners to call the action on. We are just waiting for a 10th and final runner to finish this up. Pretty close stuff overall with a top time of 53, but second place was 1 hour, 1 minute, and they've been coming in pretty steadily after that, Simbu.
Yeah, it definitely seemed that right around the hour mark is where most people could reasonably get this run done. And it does look like we're joined by Cornucopia, GG's Cornucopia. We might be having some mic issues, but as soon as that's taken care of, there we go.
I hear laughter. That's a good thing.
Oh yeah, I'm just laughing at
GG's.
myself. Wow.
Well, as one of our 4 featured runners, it was interesting to see how everything was so different for everybody, and it started coalescing as everyone finished off their task and went along the way.
Oh man, I can only imagine. Shoot, I tried a couple different things this time around. I was trying to do some different pathing, but it just didn't end up working out for me, especially when that Magic Wyvern caught me, and then my mind went at that point.
You know, Magi Wyverns, no matter whether it's vanilla or the randomizer, definitely belong in that jerk bird description.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that you had a little bit of difficulties in the second half of the run. You did really well keeping up with everyone for most of the early run. One thing I did note that you did early is you actually did a gold grind all the way up to 35,000 gold. Was there any particular reason you went all the way to 35,000?
Yes, I actually wanted to get all of my gear, get the magic armor, and then go all the way back and not have to do a death warp and get more money to get my gear a second time around. I was hoping to clean it all up in one run. I did it actually a couple runs before this. I was able to clean everything up in one run and get it to where I had everything, including the token, able to warp back and go all the way down to Rimuldar and grind around the old man until 16, get up to the Green Dragon and get in. It's really fast at that point.
Yeah, definitely. I know that was one of the biggest differences in the early game routing is most of our other runners only grounded up to about 23 to 25,000 and eventually got their money for the magic armor and silver shield and flame sword through other means, but it was definitely a very interesting race. Any comments, Borisov?
I just have to say that there was some unfortunate beats for you along the way, and it just lagged you behind our other 3 restreamers, so you did get a little ignored by us as it went along towards the final stuff, but overall, GG, I know I couldn't have topped that time.
Hey, I appreciate it. I just like being a part of it. I wanted to see how I could do, and my routing, my mind was solid right at the beginning, but when that Magic Wyvern got me, my brain just went out at that point, and I was like, you know what? And then I go through the cave, and I'm like, oh, I forgot an item. I gotta go back and grab the staff. I meant to grab that first.
Well, something you might find interesting, Betastrap was probably in position to, if not win this, be a very close second, until Betastrap, a few steps for the Draculord, realized, oh, figs, I don't have Erdrick's sword. That was really bad. I know. Oh, I felt bad for him.
Oh, that would have made my heart drop.
That wasn't the only missed check I think we saw. I think Diabetes actually forgot that the bridge wasn't there, so they had to actually go get their stuff. I think they needed to trade for the Staff of Rain and then come back and get their Rainbow Drop so they could enter Sherlock. So definitely not the only mistakes made tonight.
The thing to keep in mind with a vanilla run like this, you know where everything is. You know what you need to do, But if you just get that one little logic check out of place, or you have something in your brain that skips on what you're doing, it can screw the whole thing up. It's pretty interesting. Knowing more can actually trip you up sooner or later. It's kind of an interesting conundrum, if you will. It's like agility. You never quite know where it's going to fall on you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Knowing more can cause more problems than, just trying to on-the-fly route.
On the fly can be tougher when you know what you kind of need to do to make it work. An interesting thing just to say, for sure, Simba. And we're still waiting, by the way, for our final competitor to finish up. But based on that, still waiting on that. Maybe it'd be time. I'm still waiting for word from our people. When we are done, we will be rating, I believe it's Speed Gaming 3 for the Zelda 1 Randomizer Weekly Race. And I believe we'll be hosting Speed Gaming 2, which is supposed to have the same event going on, if I'm understanding correctly. Either way, Zelda 1 Randomizer will be coming at you momentarily whenever this broadcast is finished. And if you haven't watched a Zelda 1 Randomizer, you're missing out. If you like the mayhem of Dragon Warrior Randomizer, a Zelda 1 Randomizer is truly maniacal and even more lag. Crazy amounts of lag, Simbu and Cornucopia.
I have not watched Zelda 1 Randomizer, but I haven't played Zelda 1 Randomizer, but I've watched Fred Coughlin, the developer, play it quite a bit, so kind of familiar with it. It's definitely interesting how some of these old games play under stressful loads.
Absolutely. And I want to say, as Barco says, we can go whenever we're done talking. Well, Cornucopia, I will give you some final thoughts on this, and then I suppose we will sign this off. So go ahead, final thoughts on running in the Super Speedrun race of Dragon Warrior.
I'm just glad to be here to get to know everybody and to run with everyone, and it was fun. Lots of fun. Hope to do it again next.
Absolutely, and keep in mind, Simbu, Cornucopia, and everyone who's still here listening to this, I believe there's going to be a Winter League again this year, and that involves different flags each week if it's like last year, and that is a heck of a lot of fun. Be sure to check out the finals this week, I believe starting Wednesday night. We have Mr. Holmes taking on Up 2NG. Should be a good time. A best of 3. It could go right to the Saturday. I believe Wednesday, Friday, Saturday are the 3 scheduled nights. I'm excited. I think it's going the distance. I don't know who's going to win, but it's going best of 3. What do you think, Simbu? What do you think, Cornucopia?
Honestly, I think it could go either way. Rando's going to Rando, but it's definitely going to be a lot of fun watching either way. Maybe we'll get to enjoy in the suffering of our best runners.
I honestly can't say either way. They've both played really well. All the games I've watched them do, it's just been amazing seeing Up to NG coming through. And Mr. Holmes is always great to watch. So it's going to be a fun time, and I can't wait to see what they do and how they work through this.
Absolutely, and I will say that I think Mr. Holmes probably takes it in a best of 3, but since I beat Up 2NG in a couple of races, let's go Up 2NG. I can say I beat the champion. So with that, Simbu, Cornucopia, everyone, I think it's time to sign off. So, Simbu, any final thoughts?
No, it was definitely fun to watch. Very interesting to see kind of a vanilla run here, since I haven't seen it very often. But overall, very nice run by our featured streamers, and good luck to them in the future.
Absolutely, and all I have to say to that is, and we're done.